Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and welcome to a special edition of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I'm here today to talk to you about The One, the 2001 Jet Li movie. I love this movie so much. It's directed by James Wong, and I believe it's written by Morgan. And so, and I think it was also probably written by probably somebody else or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I love this movie so much. This is a great sci-fi action movie. And I think it was the second Jet Li movie I've ever seen. Jet Li is a phenomenal martial artist and stuff. He's been in hundreds of movies. I believe I saw this on TV when I was in college. And I remember just being so wild by this movie. I would record the fight scenes on VHS and stuff like that. And I think it's because of this is the reason why I bought Kiss of the Dragon when I saw it in the store. Never seen Kiss of the Dragon, bought it, loved it. But when it comes to Jet Li, a lot of his American movies just don't do well. They typically bomb at the box office. But I think this movie is totally underrated. This movie deals with the multiverse way before the multiverse became so mainstream today. Because back in 2001, the only times you ever heard the multiverse was either in Star Trek, that mirror universe back in the 60s, that one episode in TNG, and then of course the television show Sliders that dealt with the multiverse. So this was really a new concept to people who they really haven't really heard of much. And I love the concept of the multiverse when it's done right and when it's not overly exposed like it is today because of the MCU and everything. Now everybody's talking about multiverse this and multiverse that, but they don't really have no set rules for it like this movie. Now, in this movie with the multiverse, basically everybody shares kind of this same type of energy all throughout the multiverse, right? And if one person, your duplicate, dies in another universe, then that energy from them is transferred to all the other people, making them stronger and smarter. So, this one version of Jet Li, what was his name? Okay, I know the good one is named Gabe Law. You Law, that's it. You Law is the bad person. So he's the bad version of Jet Li from a one parallel dimension. And I think he somehow figured out about the multiverse through his dimension. So he started hopping through different parallel dimensions, killing his dimensional duplicate, making him stronger and faster and stuff like that. And so he's killed every single last one except for one, Gabe. And so there's this special task force police division within the multiverse that's trying to stop him and everything. And we briefly get to see pictures of the different versions of him, from different parallel dimensions, which we get a bit of a better scene in the lead in the special features where you see him dressed up and standing behind a green screen and stuff like that. So we never really get to dive into those other dimensional duplicates and stuff. But other people in this movie that are the main stars and co-leads and stuff, we get to see some of their dimensional duplicates and stuff like that. It's such a fascinating concept, the multiverse, where events are similar on one earth but different on another, and people are different and stuff like that. They can either be widely different or widely similar and stuff. And Yulaw is just flat out evil and everything. He's just arrogant. He's evil. He just wants to be the best that there is and nobody can challenge him and stuff like that. And so, ironically, This movie was actually intended for The Rock, but he turned it down back when he was a wrestler to do the Scorpion King and stuff. Now, he was supposed to co star with Carla, I can't say her name, Gogino, cause they supposed to play like husband and wife in this movie. But since he dropped out, he wasn't supposed to, he couldn't like play her husband. But then years later in another movie, they got to play husband and wife. So in a way it came back like full circle type thing. So because he dropped out, the fighting style had to be changed. It was supposed to be more hard hitting, grounded type fighting. So when they got Jet Li to do it, they turned it into a martial arts movie. This movie back in the early 2000s was really something. There was a lot of hit and misses during that time. Also, technology in Hollywood was changing. They had to determine what it looks like when Yulaw fights because he's more faster and powerful and stuff. They just didn't want like a blur online, oh no, a blur on screen like the Flash and everything. So they was using some relative new type of CGI practical effects like type visuals and stuff. And so when they had him running, you can still see him run, but everything around him is moved like kind of like in a blur kind of effect. And they would have him literally just run down the. Sometimes they'll have him run down the road just normal, but just super fast looking. And or sometimes they'll have like the background move like really fast and stuff. Also for the action scenes, this became kind of difficult because what do they do? They at first they thought, okay, maybe we'll use like wire work, have all these men on wire, so when he hit them, they'll fling back like really far. Or do they use like CGI and everything? They realized that the wire work technique just didn't look realistic enough. So they went for more of like a CGI like approach and everything. And this was like early days CGI. So, some of the visuals still hold up in this movie and some just kind of don't. And so, they would have like, Jet in the room with like a kind of like a blue screen with all these balls on the rope, and he'll have to like hit all the targets and stuff like that. And so, like, so it is made for a very unique like learning experience for Hollywood and everything. Now, Jet has stated working on this movie was a bit difficult because it's much different than working in a Hong Kong movie. He said over there, you can basically just do what you want and, you're in charge. But over here in America, it's not like that because there's studio interference and this and that. And when you watch the interview with him on the DVD, you can tell he was irritated by working here. Now, there's one other thing about this movie that's interesting is that I think there was like a rule nobody could touch his hair because in the movie, he's always fighting. He's going through like portals and wormholes and everything, and like his hair is just tossed around everywhere, but his hair always looks perfect in every scene. And I think there was like a rule that Jason Stamos said that nobody was supposed to like touch. Is it Jason Stamos? No, wait. Is that the dude from Full House? Which was the dude, the action dude? No, John Stamos is the Full House guy, Jason Statham. That's it. Jason Statham. Lord Jesus. Jason Statham, he said, like, nobody's like allowed to touch his hair. And the makeup department always had to touch his hair. And this one scene we see like the makeup person touch his hair. And he looks kind of like annoyed and everything. Now, one of the most grueling things was the end fight scene when there's two Jet Lis on screen having to fight each other. And it looks pretty realistic. Sometimes you can kind of tell the stunt double because he's a little bit thicker than Jet and everything. But like they use like a really, they use early like, that CGI face, like put your face on somebody else's body type thing. At first they had like a mask that they had the guy wear and everything with these dots and this and that. And the mask resembled Jet Li's face. And so the stunt double dude, not only did he have to fight as Gabe, but he had to fight as Law and everything. And so they say it was difficult for him to see through the mask, but somehow he was able to make it work. And so then they would just CGI Jet, and then they had to like, fight Jet and make him do all these poses on like a green screen, and they had to like put like, his face on the stunt double dude's face, and they both had to fight, had to rehearse that scene over and over because one had to fight as like, U-Law and the other one as Gabe, and then like vice versa and stuff. So that was a long, lengthy process that which they did. Sadly, that CGI has not held up all that well. Now, the visual effect of when they travel through dimensions, oh my god, that's so cool and different. Normally, when people pass through like parallel dimensions, they're either teleported there or they just jump through a portal. Here, your body literally gets ripped apart atom by atom and it gets sucked up into like this portal hole, and it goes through like a tunnel where you're reconstructed back in like this laboratory in this other dimension. It is painful and it looks really cool. Now, one thing that's really cool that I never really noticed is the way both Yulaw and Gabe fight. They have two completely different martial arts styles that their life seems to revolve around. You have that of Yulaw, who fights in a straight line, and you have Gabe, who fights more in a circular pattern and stuff. Now, I can't pronounce the way these fighting styles are. I just can't pronounce them. But I believe the circular one, or in American translation, is eight trigon palms and sharp will fist. And some people believe, well, the director said that it originated in prison. That's how prison, prisoners used to fight. But then I read online, it might have been a way the military fought as well. So I don't really know its origin and stuff. But I love that little montage when they're both doing their style in both dimensions and stuff. Well, they're both in the same dimension because, nobody knows Yulaw is there. And I just love both like those two different forms and everything. It's like one of the coolest things to see in the movie. And so Carla Gugino, she plays TK, which is Gabe's wife. She also plays, I think, like the girlfriend of, like a different version of her plays the girlfriend of Yulaw. And then there's another version of her at the end of the movie and stuff. So she gets to play three completely different types of characters. Two good veterinarians and one who's just straight up like a hench girl type thing. Delroy Lindo, who's a very famous actor, he plays Rod Decker. He is part of the MVA, which is, they deal with like multiverse, like criminals and stuff like that to keep everything in check and balance because they don't want not one person to be too powerful and stuff. So it does make you wonder what would happen if, say, all this person's dimensional duplicates die of natural causes and this one person is really strong. He's a by the books type person and he's trying to stop Yulaw and everything. His partner, on the other hand, Evan, who is played by Jason Statham, he's kind of like this new rookie who's like arrogant. He's very flashy. He doesn't always want to listen. He just rushes into stuff, and he ends up getting Rod Decker killed and stuff because he's just, he didn't want to listen to his commands and all this other stuff, and just went about it his own way. And Yulaw like killed the dude and stuff like that. So basically, this movie, like I said before, Yulaw is bouncing around different like parallel dimensions, and he's killing his own dimensional duplicates and stuff. Gabe, who is a police officer in LA, he's realizing he's starting to get a bit stronger and doesn't understand how. And so when he's going in for tests and everything, some of the cops are saying that Gabe has been doing some weird stuff around town. He doesn't know what they're talking about, and it turns out it's his dimensional duplicate in his dimension who's just doing all this bad stuff and trying to find Gabe. And these two even like see each other, and they had like a small skirmish and everything. But then at some point, Yulaw tracks down where Gabe lives at and murders his wife. The police officers assume that, it was Gabe that killed TK because he's been acting weird and everything. So he's really pissed and furious with all this newfound strength, while that Evan is trying to like explain to him what's all going on and all this other stuff because now his partner is dead. So they track down Yulaw and everything, and it's like this big fight between like the two in this warehouse and everything. So Jason Statham doesn't really have no fight scenes, and he doesn't really do his own like stunt work like he's known for doing. This is before the days of the Transporter and Crank and all those other movies. He has a brief fight scene, but that's about it. Now, in order to open up a portal, there's a certain window and a certain time you have to open it up. So it's coming near, and they have to get Yulaw in. Once they do, they place him into this prison camp that's on a parallel dimension that's just full of prisoners. And they want to send Gabe back to his dimension. But Evan's all like, he can't do that. You know, his wife is dead. They think he did it. They'll put him in jail. But his superiors will not listen. So Evan changes the coordinates of the dimension and send Gabe to a different dimension where there is no Gabe. And when he goes there, he finds a different version of TK, and they like fall in love and everything. And the movie ends with Yulaw at the prison camp talking about how like, ain't nobody gonna punk him out and all this other stuff, and he fights like all like the prisoners and like one by one while standing on this tall like cliff type thing. This was a really cool and unique movie to see Jet Li in, and you've never really seen him in a sci-fi action movie again. This movie is underrated for sure. It bombed at the box office and critics did not like it, but people did not understand this movie in 2001. If people look at this movie now, they'd be like, oh yeah, this movie makes total sense now because the multiverse is a thing now and they understand sci-fi a bit more. It's just sad when movies like this don't do well and like people think, oh, well, it's a garbage movie. But no, this is a really, really good movie. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander month, everybody. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.